In this video, we learn how to communicate from one Lightning Web Component to another Lightning Web Component using Lightning Messaging Service. So till now, we already seen we can communicate from parent component to a child component by passing the data, and we can communicate from child component to parent component by triggering an event. But till now, we don't have any solution in which we have to communicate between two lightning components. Those are independent. So if you look at this diagram, lightning web component A and lightning web component X, they don't have any relationship in between. There is no parent child relationship. Both are independent component, and I have a scenario in which my component A want to pass some data to a component X. To solve this issue, we're gonna use lightning messaging service. So let's see how we can start. So let's go to our VS Code. In the previous video, we already set up the message channel. We have given the message channel name sample message channel. So we're going to use this message channel for our communication. So let's create two components and we'll give this name LMS component A, and we'll create another component. We'll give this name LMS component X. So our both component is created. Let's go and see the first step given in the slide. So the first step is to reference a message channel in a Lightning Web Component. Let's go and put the message channel in our component. So we'll say import sample message channel. You can give any name here, but the reference path should be correct. So it's Salesforce slash message channel slash our message channel name. So if I go down and copy my message channel name, my message channel name is sample message channel. I'll say sample message channel underscore underscore C. So this is how we give the reference to our message channel. Let's go to the second step. In Lightning Message Service, we have different types of APIs, like we can have application scope, publish method, subscribe method, unsubscribe method, message context. Based on your use case, we can import these from the Lightning Message Service. So our use case here is my component A wants to communicate or publish a message to a component X. So I need message context and publish for my component A. So let's go and import that. I'll say import message context from Lightning Message Service, and we need to import publish as well. We are just importing it right now. Let's go to our next step. So the next step is message context wire adapter is used to get information of all LWC using LMS. So we're gonna use this adapter that we have imported from Lightning Message Service, this message context, and pass it to the wire service. It will return an object that gives an information of all the Lightning Web component those are using the message service. So let's go and call this wire adapter. So to call the wire adapter, we'll have to import the wire service, and we'll say @wire. I want to call the message context, and this context returns an object that tell me which all component are using the messaging service, and that thing I'm gonna store in a property that is context. So now I have the reference which all component are listening to the message service. Now the next step is I want to send the message to a component X on click of something, right? So let's go and create some UI stuff here. So for that, first what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a lightning card. The lightning card is here. I have given the name LMS component and say this name A, and we have to create the lightning input field where he will write or user will write his message that he wants to publish. So we'll say SLDS margin around the card. We are giving some margin around the card, and then we'll create a input field. This input is of type text. Then we need a label. We'll say enter message to publish, and then we want on key press the message should type. I'll say on key up input handler, and that's it. So I'll close this lightning input, and what I'll do, I'll just wrap it here. So now on type of input field, this handler gets called up. So let's create this method here, input handler. It will receive an event, and it will give us the data that we are typing, the event.target dot value, and we have to store this data. For that, we're going to create a property. We'll say put value. We'll say this dot input value equal to event dot target dot value. So we are storing the value that we are typing, and now I want a button that should trigger my publish message. So I'll create a margin div again, and I'll create a button here. We can use the lightning button. Say lightning button. Say label publish, and on click of this button, we're gonna call the publish message. And let's close this button. So once click this button, it will call the publish message method, and now here we want to publish the message. So let's see how we can publish the message. To publish a message, we have to call the publish method. So the syntax of publish method is, it will take the message context. Message context is the object that we are getting from the wire adapter message context. Then we have to pass the message channel. Message channel is the reference of our message channel, that is sample MC, and the message that we want to pass. So we have this context, we already call it from the wire adapter. We have this sample MC, we already given the reference in the top. We don't have the message, so let's go and create the message. Message is nothing, it's the data that we want to publish. So let's go to VS Code, and we already import the publish method. So I'll say publish. So the syntax we already know. I'll just paste it here for the reference. First is a message context. Message context is this dot context. Know which all Lightning Web Component are using the LMS service. Out of that, which all are using this special message channel, right? There can be multiple message channel, but we are looking for this message channel, sample MC, and then we want to pass the message. We don't have a message right now, so let's create the message here. We'll say constant message equal to, and as I said when in the previous video we were creating our message channel, we have to give the field name. So this field name gonna use to pass the data or to receive the data. So I'm copying the name. I'll go here and say my LMS data an object. You can pass the name directly data here as well, but I always prefer to use object, because with a single field you can pass many things. So I'll say I want to pass the value, and the value that I want to pass is the this dot input value. Input value is nothing, the value that we have typed. So our publish message is ready, and the code for the component A is ready, that he wants to send the data whatever we type in the input field. And before deploying, we want this thing to change true, and we want to place our component to a target like app page. You can place it for any other target as well based on your need. So we are targeting only app page, so I'm using app page. So now our A is ready, but X component is still empty, so we'll follow the same approach for this. First we have to tell our component X that you should use sample MC message channel. So now our component message channel has been referred here. Now in the X channel, we want to receive the data that is published by component A. For that, what we can do is we need to import the subscribe method and unsubscribe method. First we'll look into the subscribe method, subscribe, and the important thing, that is message context, we have to import, and we have to import from lightning message service. Always to use message context whenever you are in the lightning web component that extends lightning element. So let's do that. We need to call the wire service, same message context, and this data will be stored in the property context. The wire is imported, so message context is ready. Now the other thing we want is to subscribe, and let's go to the slide and see the syntax of the subscribe. So the subscribe method take the message context we already have, takes message channel we already have sample MC, then the listener is a function basically that receive the message coming from the publisher. So it is a function that receives the message and will pass that message to another function where we can manipulate this message. And the fourth property is the subscriber option, and this is important when you want to pass the data to anywhere in the application. So it's always good to define your scope at an application level. So let's go and implement the subscribe functionality. I'll call the subscribe message or subscribe function. We already know it takes, I'll put the syntax on the top, and it takes the context first, message context. We have the context here. Then it takes the message channel reference. We already have that. Then after that we have listener. Listener is a function that will receive the message and pass the message to handle message. This can be any name that you're going to use in your component. Have this packet, and the fourth parameter is an object scope that will use application scope. So we are defining the scope. So now you might thinking why it's throwing an error, because we are in the class, and in the class you can't use the function directly. Either it should be in the method or it should be a adapter, right? So with the wire or add the rate properties. So what we can do is we'll create a method called subscribe message, and we'll put our whole code inside the method. So inside this method we are calling the subscribe, scope is there, and listener is there, our message channel is there, message context is here. So as soon as the component loads, we want to call this subscribe message, and to do that what we can do is we need to call the connected callback. This is the lifecycle hook that gets called on the page load. So to call this, we need to call this using this dot method name, and we are calling it on the page load. It will get called and it's subscribe this, and now we have to create this handler. We'll say whenever the message comes, this handle message gets called, and this will do, we'll say store the data in the received message property. Let's create this property on the top. We'll say check if message and check message dot LMS data is there, data dot value is there. If not, then say no message. no message published, and if it's there, just use this message. So it's a ternary operator. If this operation execute to true, this condition will return, otherwise this condition will return. So if value is empty, will return the no message published. And now let's go and create the card for our second component X. I'll create a card X, lightning card. Then we need to add the margin around it. Let's create the margin, and let's add the message received, and the message that is received, let's make it bolder, and let's print that message that is coming for second component. And we can update the meta files with the same things. We want this is exposed to true, and we want the lightning app message as a target. So let's deploy. So now both the component is deployed. So let's go to our org. In the org, in my app 0 to hero, I already created a lightning messaging service app page. Let's edit the page and place our component. Our component name is LMS. I'll place component A on the left hand side and the X component on the right hand side. Let's hit save and let's go back. And now both components are there. There is no relationship. Both components are independent. If I simply click the publish button, it means I'm not passing the data, but I'm publishing an event. So as soon as I click this publish, it will receive some action. It didn't find the data, so it print no message published. It received the message, but it's showing no message published because the message is empty. Let's type some message. Hello from component A. Let's publish this. Now you see it's publishing the message that you're typing here. So this is how we communicate from one lightning component to another using publisher and subscriber. There is a possibility you don't want to listen that, and for that we have another option called unsubscribe. So if you store the context of your subscribe method in a variable subscription, then you just pass that reference to the unsubscribe method. So let's do that as well. Let's go back to our second component, that is component X, and here what we'll do, we'll go to the our component HTML, and I'll just copy paste the div with a medium margin around. So I'll create a button here. I'll say lightning button, and I will say label unsubscribe, and after unsubscribe I want on click method, and I'll say unsubscribe message is my handler name, so I'll pass this message. And in the JS file, what I'll do, I'll create this method unsubscribe, and to unsubscribe the subscription, what I need to do is I have to create a property subscription. This property name can be anything. I am using subscription. I'll store the subscription reference into this property subscription, and when I need to unsubscribe this, I have to import unsubscribe and call this method with the reference of our subscribed instance. So I'll say unsubscribe this subscription, okay, and empty this subscription once it's unsubscribed. So let's deploy and see how unsubscription works. And now it's deployed. Let's go and refresh the page. And Now let's publish something. Hooray. I publish it, received the data, hooray, immediately. And then I'll say hooray, hello, bye. I published everything published. Now what I'll do is I'll clean this out and I click on unsubscribe. And now let's try publishing something. Component A, let's publish this. Now you see it's not publishing because we already unsubscribed it. You can control your subscription using unsubscribe method. And in this demo, I showed you how you can communicate from one component to another. Component A is publishing the data. Component X is receiving the data. And now you guys try yourself to publish the data from a component X, and component A should receive the data. And let's see how it works. So that's how our LMS component communication works from component 1 to component 2. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.